There is a dirty secret mutual fund companies don't want you to know, and maybe your advisor too. Every so often, an analyst comes out with a report that states you can't time the market. The specifics vary from study to study, but the general theme is usually the same. The report shows the S&P 500 over a 15 or 20-year period and shows what the results would have been had an investor missed out on the best 10, 20, 30, and so on days of the market. They do this by isolating the days with the largest gains and setting them back to 0%, as if they never happened. Now, in a 20-year period, the odds of missing out those exact 10 days out of 5,036 trading days would have been 1 in 10.5 trillion. Terrible luck, or amazing luck. Now here's what you may already know. These studies are correct in their assessment that missing those 10 days would be truly terrible. The annualized returns quickly diminish from a positive rate to a negative rate the more the best days were missed. Oftentimes, these studies highlight that the best days are in close proximity to the days with the greatest losses, which is also correct. Their assertion is that by jumping out of the market at these periods of time, somehow with some clairvoyance as to what the absolute worst days are, you take such a large risk that you must always be invested. Now what if the opposite was true? What if instead of having the worst timing, missing the 10 best days, you had the best timing and missed the 10 worst days? The odds are still the same, practically non-existent in actual execution, but that's what they went with, so let's take a look at the inverse of their premise. What you would find out is that by missing out of the worst days of the market, you drastically increase your annualized rate of return. But there's something else to the story. Here's what they're not telling you. Now you may have already caught it in the original argument. These studies cite that the best days are often around the worst days. The reason why they highlight this fact is because they know that oftentimes investors will capitulate as a result of these losses and consequently miss the later gains. These studies have already told us that they are in close proximity, so if you miss the best days, you might also miss the worst. So what if in order to miss out the worst days, you also had to miss out the best gains? How would this impact the S&P 500 performance? Well, if you miss the 10 best and worst days, your annualized performance increases from 5.6% to 6.29%. Furthermore, if you miss the 20 best and worst days, annualized performance actually further increases to 6.64%. In fact, there's a surprising trend that appears the more days that were missed. If you would have missed out the 600 best and worst days, that's 1,200 market days, or almost 24% of the market days, you would have increased your annualized performance from 5.6% to 9.36%. Mutual fund companies want you to be invested more than not because that's how they make money. They charge an internal fee on assets under management. If the assets are not invested all the time, they don't make as much money. Also, they don't want to see large inflows or outflows of capital because it affects their positioning in order to keep in line with their prospectus. In other words, they are biased. So what do you do with this information? Now all this is academic and based on perfect hindsight, placing trades exactly in the market close every time. It isn't possible to do exactly what is outlined in this. However, it gives credence to a couple key concepts. You don't always have to be invested all the time, and the best days and the worst days tend to congregate together. There are times to be invested and times to seek protection. Investment returns are enhanced by lower volatility and overall trend capture, not by only capturing or avoiding a handful of investment days over a multi-year period. These mutual fund companies are right about one thing. Investors need to be proactive in their risk management, not reactive to the market.